Well, good morning, friends. Welcome. West Tennessee Dave here. It is Thursday morning, 6:33, or just after. I hope you are excellent today. We are here with you live on Twitch at 6:33 in the morning and later to you on a VOD on YouTube. I hope you're doing great this morning. And let's get into our reading today. What are we going to read? We are going to read Genesis 37 through 39. Continuation of Jacob's story, but really, this is the beginning of the children's story coming to fruition. All right, so just a quick, tiny little recap before we start. Jacob, last week or a couple times ago, Jacob moved back. He met his brother. They had a better than he expected encounter. And then he settled in a different part of the land, not right next to his brother, because he was wealthy enough, kind of like the Abram and Lot story. And then, last time we had the good old talk of Dinah getting raped and then the killing of that part of the family, and then his own kid having sex with his oldest son, having sex with his concubine. So, good finishing places, right? And now we're gonna keep moving on into the story of the children. Here we go, Genesis 37. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the son of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children, because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, So you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. Listen, I've had another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bow low before me. This time he told the dream to his father as well as to his brothers. But his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. Go and see how your brothers and flocks are getting along, Jacob said. Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep? Yes, the man told him. They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, Let's go on to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. "Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We could tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into this empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him." Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing. Then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to these Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message: "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said, "it's my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he would say, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. He slept with her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and he named the boy Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Onan. And when she gave birth to a third son, she named him Shelah. At the time of Shelah's birth, they were living at Kezeb. In the course of time, Judah arranged for his firstborn son to marry a young woman named Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life. Then Judah said to brother Onan, "Go and marry Tamar, as our law requires, of the brother of a man who has died. You must produce an heir for your brother." But Onan was not willing to have a child who would not be his own heir. So whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he spilled the semen on the ground. This prevented her from having a child who would belong to his brother. But the Lord considered it evil for Onan to deny a child to his dead brother. So the Lord took Onan's life too. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Go back to your parents' home and remain a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you." But Judah didn't really intend to do this because he was afraid Shelah would also die, like his two brothers. So Tamar went back to live in her father's home. Some years later, Judah's wife died. After the time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went up to Timnah to supervise the shearing of his sheep. Someone told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangements had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance to the village of Enem. Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute, since she had covered her face. So he stopped and propositioned her. "Let me have sex with you," he said, not realizing that she was his own daughter-in-law. "How much will you pay to have sex with me?" Tamar asked. "I'll send you a young goat from my flock," Judah promised. "But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send the goat?" she asked. "What kind of guarantee do you want?" he replied. She answered, "Leave me your identification seal and its cord, and the walking stick you are carrying." So Judah gave them to her. Then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Afterwards, she went back home, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothing as usual. Later, Judah asked his friend Hira, the Adullamite, to take the young goat to the woman and to pick up the things he had given her as a guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her. So he asked the men who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who is sitting beside the road at the entrance to Enaim?" "We've never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. So Hira returned to Judah and told him, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claim they've never had a shrine prostitute there." "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. "I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her. We'd be a laughingstock of the village if we went back again to look for her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now, because of this, she's pregnant." "Bring her out and let her be burned," Judah demanded. But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law: "The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and cord and walking stick are these?" Judah recognized them immediately and said, "She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah." And Judah never slept with Tamar again. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet ring around the child's wrist, announcing, "This one came out first." But then he pulled back his hand, and out came his brother. "What?" the midwife exclaimed. "How did you break out first?" So he was named Perez. Then the baby with the scarlet string around his wrist was born, and he was named Zerah. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded. But Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God." She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come on, sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand as he ran from the house. When she saw that she was holding his cloak and he had fled, she called out to her servants. Soon all the men came running. "Look," she said, "my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us." He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away, but he left his cloak behind with me. She kept the cloak with her until her husband came home. Then she told him her story. That Hebrew slave you brought into our house tried to come in and fool around with me, she said. But when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me. Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated him. So he took Joseph and threw him into prison, where the king's prisoners were held. There he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him his faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. That's our reading for today. Get this funny, like, dividing of Joseph's story here at the beginning. I guess it's maybe what chronologically happened. Obviously, some time has passed from the time that Joseph becomes like a young teenager, young man, older youth, I guess, but he's very gifted in many things, has his dreams, and here we go again, right? How many times have we seen this story? Brothers or sisters being jealous of one of their siblings. Somebody gets preferential treatment. This story is as old as the Bible. We've seen this since the beginning. And here we go again. One brother gets preferential treatments, gets favor from God or favor from the Father. And the other brother, or now the other brothers, basically want to take matters into their own hands. Their hearts just say, let's get rid of it. Instead of thinking, wow, this person has favor and is blessed by our Father or is blessed by God, they're like, let's just get rid of them. It's just like, it's just the easier thing to do. Let's just get rid of them. I mean, it doesn't seem like they need training in this. This is the story that's happened over and over and over again now. And it just doesn't seem to end well. I don't know if this was the favor of the Lord that these Ishmaelite traders start walking by. Obviously, this was all like somewhat preordained, probably by God, but you don't see that necessarily said in the storyline here right now. But they're like, oh, let's sell him instead. Why kill him, right? Like, it's kind of messy. Let's get some money in the deal. Like, let's find our own favor. We're gonna make our own favor and just sell our brother. So that's what Judah's plan is, right? Sells them to the Ishmaelites, gets some money. I don't know if he divided the money or just kept it himself. Then we get this random story of Judah and his sons. They're not really good men, I guess. I mean, doesn't sound like Judah's a great guy, right? He wants to kill his brother, and then he's like, let's just sell him for money. Anyways, his wife dies. He tries to arrange marriages for his oldest son, but he's no good. And then his younger brother has to fulfill the obligations that are customary at that time and sleep with his brother's wife to get her pregnant. Doesn't want to do that. And as a dad, I mean, I get what Judah does. He's like, I don't want my third son to die. I don't want my son to die. I don't want to give him to this woman. I mean, what's the common denominator here? Does he know that his sons were put to death because of the Lord, or does he not know? And so he kind of goes into protection mode, and then, you know, I mean, this story gets so weird, right? Tamar then sleeps with her father-in-law. That's a weird thing, and he doesn't realize it, and she becomes pregnant with twins. Such a strange storyline, right? The strange things that happen in our storyline when we basically become jealous, angry, selfish. We just see this bizarre and more bizarre storyline coming out. We're seeing this over and over and over again. Through I mean, we're still in the first book of the Bible. So we get past all that, and we're back to Joseph again, and Joseph's going to be kind of become the main storyline for a good season. Basically, nearly the rest of the book of Genesis is Joseph's story, going forward with his family somewhat integrated into it. Judah must have been a really bad lover. Open your eyes, man. Okay, again, man, we're talking about all kinds of things here, right? I mean, we've talked about circumcision, rape. Now we're talking about sleeping with your daughter-in-law, right? Like, you obviously gave your son. You arranged for this woman Tamar to be with your eldest son, right? So you know her. Like, it wasn't just like, okay, you get this woman that I've never met. That was not how it was. The parents interviewed. He should know this woman somewhat, right? He should know her face, know what she looks like. Now, it does say that she covered her face. He's in mourning. Who knows how old she is? I mean, uh, more modern culture, our culture, right? People typically marry someone close to their age range, right? I don't know if that was totally the case back in this time frame. It seems like women were typically younger and men were older, right? And in this case, Judah's got to be fairly old if his third son is already of the age to be married. Tamar is probably older than the third son, but maybe not, right? Because because of the age range, they could be close. But now she's sleeping with this really older man, right? Maybe that was just normal custom. Who knows? Obviously, she's trying to get a point across that Judah is not treating her right, right? And it says at the end, right? He wants to kill her. He's back to his killing ways. She's done something wrong in my eyes. I'm killing this woman. Like, he took no time to actually understand his daughter-in-law, who has been faithful to him and his family and the two sons, and the two sons were just bad. They're bad apples. And he's blaming her. I mean, it's such a commonality. Let's blame the other person. They're the problem. And probably from his own eyes. His two sons are dead. She's the common denominator here in his eyes. And now she's done this and she's become pregnant in his eyes. He doesn't know why. it's him. I mean, this is such a weird story, right? But how do you have sex with somebody, you say, and not realize it's your daughter-in-law? I mean, who knows? We don't know if the incident with her being acting as a prostitute in this moment and him thinking she's a prostitute. I don't know if they get fully unclothed or they even see their faces. Um, I mean, these are all weird things to talk about, right? The Bible is full of weird stories. Yeah, but how do you not know? Like, you have seen this woman. I mean, you probably haven't seen her naked before, so maybe she just never uncovered her face. I don't, I think they were very clothed people in general, so I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird story, right? But let's we see that Judah we see so we've seen this over the last few many chapters where sex is talked about a lot in the Bible. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept to talk about these things. It's sometimes an awkward subject line, right? We have all the way back with Jacob. He gets tricked, gets a different wife. So he's expecting a wife. He gets tricked. So now he has that. Then he has, his the wife that he wanted. So now he has two wives, and then they both give him. So he's having sex all the time. And then you have this story of Reuben sleeping with one of his dad's wives. You have the whole Dinah and Shechem thing, and now you have Judah sleeping with his daughter-in-law. I mean, it is super awkward. Now, fast forward, you have Joseph, right? He is, I mean, he's the beloved son. He's the beloved son of his father Jacob, because maybe because he's biased, because he's the son of Rachel, who was the wife that he really loved the most. Maybe it's because he's good at things. Whatever. Like, as a dad, he gets to pick who his favorite is. I know that's hard to say. And now he's been sold. He's been human trafficked by his brothers, sold into slavery. He's in Egypt. He's in this guy's house, and the guy's like, "Wow, everything he does works out." Like, I mean, no offense, but if I have a servant that's doing all the work that I'm supposed to do and it all works out, why would I get myself involved, except just let him do the work? I don't want the gravy train to stop. I mean, am I an idiot? Oh, it's just, let me let this guy do his work, and he's doing a great job. Awesome. I get the benefits. I get to relax. I just get to, what does it say? All I care about is what I eat, and then I have my wife. And Joseph realizes that, and the wife is like, she has got the hots for Joseph. Why? Because he's a young man. He's good looking, and he's a servant in the house, right? And she's like, oh yeah. And there's probably a big age gap difference, right? Back to this age gap difference. Potiphar's probably older. She's probably a pretty young, good looking woman herself, and she's like, I got my old husband over here, and I got this young servant who's hot, and everything he does is good. I bet it would be good to sleep with him. I've got the hots for him, right? She is trying. So we have this whole sex theme again, just continuing on for many of these chapters here of people doing weird things. And because of it, she gets denied. She gets denied. Joseph just is like, uh, I can't sleep with you. Like, he gets it. Like, look, I am a person that tries to do the right thing. I'm not sleeping with you. Stop it. and eventually just runs away and gets thrown into prison. So all the favor that you see on his life, all the favor from God, he gets this beautiful robe from his dad. He's beloved. That gets him human trafficked by his brothers. Then he still does well where he's at and does the right thing, doesn't sleep with the hot woman. And now he gets thrown into prison because of it. But even in the prison, he does well there. He does well there because it says God was with him. And it's like, wow, I mean, that part of Joseph's story is so enlightening and so challenging to me. Is so challenging to me because he is looking beyond circumstance at the moment. What he realizes most is God is with me, and wherever I am, no matter how bad the circumstance looks, I'm going to succeed because God's with me, and that's what matters most to me. And man, that is convicting of myself. To be non-circumstantial, to not be results oriented all the time. You need extra favor in the hard places. You're right, but he had favor in all places because God's with him. He had favor earlier. He had favor in a pretty good situation as a slave under Potiphar. Now he's in prison and he has the favor. It's like, and I don't think he just holds on to the favor. He just holds on to the fact that God's with him, and so he continues to live his life well. I know, like, that's what we're called to do. We are all called to do that, like live our lives well. But I know that I am somewhat circumstantial at times. Right? Many of us come from the poker world, right? They say don't be results oriented. Don't be results oriented when you play poker. It's a long-term game, right? You're supposed to just make the right choices over and over and over again, and the long term it'll all work out. But you just, it's hard to not be results oriented sometimes. It's hard to think, oh man, I just really wish that spot went well, like to not feel like you don't have favor in the moment. And you see the same thing with Joseph here, but he doesn't dwell on it. He's like, no, we're just going to keep doing the right thing. I'm just going to keep doing the right thing over and over and over again. Wherever it lands me. Because God's with me. So this is the key. God's with me. So I must not be in the wrong spot. If God left me, maybe I had to start questioning things, but God's with me. So I'm good. I'm good no matter where I'm at. That's what he holds on to. It's a simple thing, right? But to not be results oriented, but be relationship oriented. The relationship is what matters. And he has it, and he's holding on to it for dear life. Does that mean he's not mad? Does that mean he's not hurt? No, it doesn't mean any of that. And we'll get into that story, right? Like, gosh, if your brothers tried to kill you or throw you in a pit or sell you into slavery, I mean, I would not be happy with my brothers. I would be pissed. I would be so angry. Like, we're supposed to love each other as family. We're supposed to care for one another. That's what families are supposed to do. So when they don't, to not hold a grudge. Well, let's not spoil what's coming. That's the story that continues on in the future. So we've had great success today. Great success. Lots of people having sex, wanting sex, and not great things coming from it because it is not really done in the appropriate way, right? It's all being done out of very selfish ambitions and protectionism. And the only one who was vindicated was Tamar here so far. Joseph's in prison, so it doesn't look so good right now. We'll leave it there. So maybe your storyline is similar and you feel like, man, I'm in the pit, I'm in the dungeon, I'm in jail. It feels like I'm in jail, whatever the case may be. Right? Just hang out here with Joseph for a moment. Hang out in this storyline. It might not be. Sometimes we're in jail because of our own actions, right? Like, we live in a legal society. If you're there for your own actions, you're there for your own actions. But sometimes we're there for other circumstances. If God's with you, let's dwell on that. God is with you. Let's hang out with that. That's where I'm going to hang out. Let's find him. Let's find God in our everyday. Take time to know where he's at in our lives, what he's up to, so that we're more like Joseph and we can say, but God is with me. I've got all I need no matter where I'm at. Because all of our lives, we're going to have difficult journeys and circumstances. All right. Any other thoughts from y'all? The first chapter of this book is wild. You mean the what we've read in Genesis so far has been wild? It is. It's wild. It's like the story. I mean, you see some grand stories and you see some really weird things happening. From what I've seen of the world, the Bible checks out. You know, so I listened to the Bible on a podcast for a number of years. And one of the things that I really took away from listening to it for so long is that it doesn't sugarcoat stories. Right? That's why I'm reading these stories to you. It doesn't sugarcoat them. History that is generally told in schools or whatnot is very oftentimes told from a winner's perspective, right? And it's really, I mean, at least in our country, maybe you're from somewhere else, but most countries tell stories that in history from the viewpoint of we are a great country. And so let's tell the stories that continue to show that line that we're a great country. right? And it's just empire building propaganda. This has been going on for as old as time is. It's not as relational, and I'm a relational person, right? That's why I do this stream. I want community. But the Bible tells these stories, and you see very much the human side of life in it. And you see some of the not so great parts of human life in it. There are some that's going to be victorious, there's going to be some of failure, and it just gives more authenticity to it because that kind of relates more to our lives. I mean, I wish that I was a super positive person in all things, and all of my thoughts and all of my thinkings were life is great, we're always victorious. Like, it'd be great to say that. It's just not reality. It's probably not reality for anyone. We all go through difficult times and seasons, regardless of how successful we are in the eyes of the world or the eyes of God or the eyes of anyone. Like, we're going to go through difficult seasons. And the Bible doesn't sugarcoat it. Right? So Champ said it, whitewashed. Right? Much of history is whitewashed. Now, the Bible, all the history books in the world, right? Like, they can't tell the entire history. Like, history has been made up of billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of people, right? Like, there's just so much history that has gone on. But history is often told from a very elitist point of view to some extent because they had to be able to write and read, and kind of takes out some of the commoner at times. And I mean, the Bible's no different a little bit in this, right? The people that some of these storylines that are told are going to be from elitist groups. Some are not, though. And that's what I really like about it. It brings more authenticity to the storyline. All right. Anyways, we're way off the reservation of where we started today, but it doesn't matter. It's where we're going as community. The story of Joseph, I love the story of Joseph. If you ever get a chance to see the musical, it's a great musical. It's a great play. I highly recommend it. It's just such a great story. For the redemption of somebody who does well long term. Little spoiler alert. But right now, we're in the prison. And he's having a great attitude about it. So me, I'm going to have a great attitude about all things in life. Because God's with me. God's with you. So find him, hang out there. It matters more than whatever's happening in our external circumstances. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. And yeah, love each other, treat each other well, love one another. Don't be jealous of others. We've seen where that's led so far. That has not gone well. Just encourage one another, treat one another well. Where do we learn that? We learn it right here from even just the first few chapters of Scripture. Love one another, treat others well. That's a good starting point. If we can do that, we've done well today. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you again soon.